1v1 between Jesulin and Helping Hans. This is actually the third game in a series of matches between these two players in a tournament, the Summer Cup, I believe, and you can catch the other two games on coh2.org where they were uploaded today, I believe. So if you find this game interesting, be sure to check those out as well. Jesulin playing as the Soviets in the East base, and Helping Hans playing as Over Commando West in the West base. And it looks like we're going to see double conscript start from Jesulin, and Helping Hans is going to go with Volksgrenadiers. Second unit going to be probably more Volksgrenadiers if I had to guess. Half track moving up. So it looks like he is going to be doing some scouting with that. Jesulin's conscripts in the south are moving towards the fuel and strategic points in the south area. Very quick steel barricade going up right here to deny cover to the east side of this tank husk. Supply half track does spot conscripts. No tech faking from Jesulin. So Helping Hans probably does know that he's going to be facing conscript spam, yet he does still decide to go with the second squad of Volksgrenadier regardless, despite the general ineffectiveness of Volksgrenadiers versus conscripts, presumably for the capping power, if I had to guess. Combat engineers working on the fuel, second squad of conscripts moving up towards the middle, this squad grabbing the munitions point, stern pioneers moving away from the central victory point to grab the munitions up here while his Volksgrenadiers work on the fuel. Supply half-track taking fire, no damage yet though, so no veterancy granted to his opponent. None of the shots managed to penetrate the half-track's armor. And it looks like there will be an engagement here in a moment if those Volksgrenadiers, or if those conscripts chase, but they will not chase, they will continue to hold the church. Meanwhile, Jesulin's infantry continues moving across the bottom, while the stern pioneers continue wiring off key positions in the top, and this steel barricade will prevent him from utilizing this little passageway for quite some time, maybe for in fact the entirety of the game, as a tank won't really be able to crush it unless he destroys it manually with some sort of heavy weapons. Stern pioneers catch these conscripts in a pretty bad position. They throw the Molotov, but it is perfectly dodged. Helping Hans will definitely come out on top of that engagement. Meanwhile, conscripts moving up on the Volksgrenadiers in the house. Probably going to see a Molotov going out soon. Yes, there it goes. Helping Hans will probably evacuate. Looks like he's a little slow to react, though. Meanwhile, these conscripts inflicting a little bit of damage on the supply half-track. Volksgrenadiers actually didn't take all that much damage from that, so pretty lucky there. And the Volksgrenadiers are attacking these conscripts over here at range, so they should have the advantage, although the conscripts do have better, superior cover. Volksgrenadiers being on the wrong side of this wall. Helping Hans is probably going to move in on this engagement once he's able to collect all of his forces. Volksgrenadiers get back inside of the house, and he actually retreats these wounded conscripts, even though I think he probably could have thrown another Molotov, but he opted not to. Meanwhile, some more wounded conscripts over here taking up a position in the church. These guys are definitely going for a Molotov. Helping Hans needs to dodge. Does dodge it very easily. And he is not in quite strong enough of a position to take advantage of flushing his opponent out of cover, because his conscripts are quite wounded. And he's actually all the way up to 670 manpower right now, so he appears to be saving for something. I guess he doesn't want to get more conscripts. I'm not sure what the deal is there. And he actually does purchase a support weapon Campanaya, and we do see shock motor support, so that is his doctrine. Helping Hans has also chosen Luftwaffe. And he's got one command point, and he will probably be calling in an MG-34. And there it is. Conscripts sitting over here. Looks like they're going to harass. They're wounded, but they will still be able to capture the top unopposed. Conscripts over here, keeping Helping Hans back. away from the cutoff. However, some spare Volksgrenadiers down here are working on the munitions point. And it looks like these folks are going to hold the church. Sturm Pioneer support. More Volksgrenadiers over here moving up. MG-34 also on its way. Actually, the MG-34 looks like it's moving to push back this squad of 3 conscripts rather than helping here in the middle. Molotov goes over the bush, but it does not inflict any casualties. HelpingHans continuing to dodge quite well. As far as map control, things are pretty even, with HelpingHans having a slight advantage for munitions and Jesulin having a slight advantage for victory points.
Prepare for orders. Count your luck, comrade. Infantry attacking in force! Assembly complete.
Grenade going out. Does not connect. Flamethrower squad moving up. I think that this is probably going to go in HelpingHans' favor. It's going to come down to ability usage and cover usage. Oh, he goes with a full retreat, so he does not want to throw any more grenades. He doesn't want to bleed any more manpower from that flamethrower, so he just gets out of there. Instead, focusing entirely on the top and middle. Volksgrenadiers moving, or Sturm Pioneers moving into the house. They do see a Maxim machine gun, but it's slightly out of their range. He evacuates the church because he doesn't want to take fire that he cannot return. Volksgrenadiers capturing in the north. Mine going down in the south. Conscripts also working on the south munitions point, splitting the map rather neatly in half. Nobody owns this point yet. Conscripts actually charging the church. There is only one window on this side of the church, so they quickly get out of there, not wanting to take any more damage. Conscripts take the church over. Conscripts also moving in on these Volksgrenadiers over here. They should be able to win this engagement. Grenade going out though, and that was not a very good dodge. He actually takes heavy damage, and he goes with a full retreat. However, this Maxim is going to cause those Volksgrenadiers to retreat in turn. Sturm Pioneers firing on the conscripts in the church. Only one window in the north, so they can't really return much damage there. And they're actually doing pretty good damage. Conscript squad all the way already down to half health. Only 4 men remaining. They get out of the church. Maxim moves up to support. Sounds like that mine was detonated. That was a Volksgrenadier squad with a Shrek, so 3 Volksgrenadiers down due to that mine. MG-34 catches the flamethrower squad though. It will get suppressed. Oh, great burst though. Really nice burst, even when suppressed. Takes out 2 Volksgrenadiers right there. Throws a grenade in the retreat path and actually kills 2 of the 3. I think he was definitely hoping to destroy the flamethrower itself, but it did not explode, and he will get away and be just fine.
Squad back to full strength. Achtung! Prepare for action.
And things are coming to a bit of a standstill here in the middle, now that some machine guns have moved up and got into position.
Rocket half-track, ready for battle.
And that is leaving HelpingHans in a rather defensive position. However, hopefully he will be able to crack some of Jesulin's Maxims and garrisons with his brand new walking Stuka zu Fuß. And he will probably be firing that in the very near future. We do see the Mechanized Regiment headquarters is set to fuel transfer, so he is trying to bring fuel in as rapidly as possible. Stuka firing. Ooh, devastating first rocket. However, no full squads destroyed. That Maxim will make it away, and that conscript will make it away. With 1 man, he does pop Fallschirmjäger, though. Bush blocks line of sight, so the conscripts will make it away just fine. And unfortunately for him, there was actually a squad of shock troops right there. So that little stunt will not pay off for him, and he's taking a heavy damage on retreat. 2 men down. So that's going to be quite a bit of manpower spent and bled for absolutely nothing accomplished. That hurts. MG-34 suppressing some more conscripts in the south. Molotov going out, poorly aimed though. Volksgrenadiers are completely unharmed. MG34 repositions to try to deal with these shock troops over here. They fail to throw a smoke grenade or anything of that nature, and they're immediately forced to retreat. And these conscripts actually retreated through their own flames, taking heavy damage. Will he throw another grenade in their retreat path? No. Hoping to just get him with the sheer firepower of the MG34, but the conscript does make it away. And I don't think I've seen a single squad wiped just yet, despite some very close calls on Jesulin's part. Everything has gotten away. By a hair. Stern Pioneers get suppressed by that Maxim, and they are forced to retreat along with these heavily wounded conscripts. And it does not look like Jesulin has got the field infirmary yet, but there it is, cooking, so he will be able to get that healed up. And Jesulin is now looking quite nice for map control. He has taken the north victory point. He's still got the south victory point. HelpingHans still holding the center, but struggling otherwise to really get a hold of a second third of the map. However, if he can keep firm grasp on one victory point, one fuel, and one munitions, he will be able to build up power and hopefully be able to overwhelm Jesulin. Although the Soviet late game is much better than the US late game, so it will be slightly more challenging. Molotov goes out on the MG34, and that will get cleared. Ooh, nice flame burst there. However, the Stuka is firing in the retreat path, and there it is. First full squad taken out of the game, flamethrower squad. Shock troops also deterred by the second MG34 up here, and they are forced to retreat. However, there is a spare squad of conscripts moving up again from the south, so the harassment does not end there. Maxim getting pushed back by these Volksgrenadiers in the house. Raketenwerfer hitting the field as well, which is timed just about perfectly as Jesulin's T-34 is in the oven.
HMG crew is ready.
Oh, and that Maxim sets up incorrectly. I think that was a bug, setup bug right there. He might have been using attack move or some weird. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what just caused that, but that will force a retreat for Jesulin, allowing HelpingHans to capture some territory up here in the north. But he is getting hit by these conscripts. Second squad moving up as well, and he's going to have to move back a little bit. This MG34 is now Vet 1. Not moving it up to deal with those conscripts though, content to just sort of sit and defend this area. Conscripts getting pushed back by that MG34. T-34 does hit the field, and it is moving to the north, and it is going to be running into this Raketenwerfer, I believe, if it chooses to come in this way. Raketenwerfer does fire on the conscripts though, so Jesulin definitely knows that it's there now. So he's not going to be going into its arc. Looks like he's going to flank around up here, dealing damage to those. Ooh, heavy damage to those Stern Pios before they're able to get back to safety. And now his infantry are free to advance. There is an MG34 over here. He's definitely spreading out quite nicely with his conscripts though. MG34 correctly chooses a closer squad. These guys are busy capping, and they take up some cover behind these logs while shock troops move in from the north, and that MG34 is too heavily damaged to be able to rotate and expect to suppress those shock troops, so he does have to move back. Second MG34 moving up from the other front to support though. He sets up with this MG34. They are really nicely spread out, so the grenade is not all that effective. Maxim moving up though, and he's quite clustered, so that Maxim is definitely going to be problematic for him. However, I think that this MG might be just slightly outside the arc of fire. Yes, it is, so it will be safe and can continue suppressing those shock troops. He won't need to worry too much about that, and he does have the Raketenwerfer faced correctly for this T-34, which is circled back around. So if he moves in... Oh, and there's also a Puma, so he's actually going to be running straight into a Puma and a Raketenwerfer. Raketenwerfer fires and connects. Puma shot also connects. Stuka also firing, probably hitting right here if I had to guess. Yes, it is. Ooh, takes out a full squad right there. and heavily damages the Maxim, although it will make it away. So that Stuka is definitely paying off. That's 2 full squads down and lots of various casualties also inflicted with that. But Jesulin is definitely not hurting from map control by any means. HelpingHans is now pushed all the way back to nothing but his strategic point outside of his base and this central victory point. His army is very clustered, and he's finally, now that he's pushed Jesulin back after that big push, getting a little bit of breathing room to start spreading out and capturing some territory. Sturm Pioneers push back these conscripts in the north. Volksgrenadiers moving on the munitions, MG34 on the strategic point. These Volksgrenadiers are forced away by that incendiary barrage. He almost lost the full squad. If he had reacted a little sooner, he could have just dodged up here and probably continued capping, but he was forced to get out of there. And a second T-34 is on the field. Jesulin looks like he's going to be massing those. Not going to be relying on KV-8s or IS-2s, apparently, since he is investing quite a bit of fuel into his core tanks. And he now has 2 of them. And if HelpingHans is not able to destroy them, then they are going to become quite a large problem for him. But because he's Luftwaffe, he does have access at least to the Panzerfaust, so that will help him at least snare some tanks with the engine damage. And hopefully with that he will be able to... Ooh! Devastating shot on those Sturm Pioneers. I don't think they're going to get away from this. Absolutely nothing to protect the retreat path. But he's not going to chase. There is a squad of Volksgrenadiers with a Shrek and a Puma actually right here. So chasing that probably would cause him to take a bit of damage. Meanwhile, over here, just continuing to harass and cap. Conscripts moving up to harass that fuel, it looks like. Both the Puma and the T-34 being very conservative. Neither one of them wants to lose their fuel investment. Jesulin is continuing to prod at HelpingHans' line, looking for weaknesses, looking for a hole in the defense, trying to inflict losses where he can. Maxim slowly creeping its way up. Stuka's ready to fire, but HelpingHans is not going to fire blind. He wants to wait for a nice juicy target. Fallschirmjäger spots some conscripts up here with Puma support. He does hit Veteran C1 with that, but they are also rather wounded. More conscripts moving in, getting line of sight for a new incendiary barrage, which he's dropping on the Raketenwerfer to open up a hole for his T-34. Which then is going to start firing, firing on the MG-34. But that Stuka barrage does wipe yet another squad. That is a Maxim crew completely annihilated. Puma moving up to support the MG-34. Ooh, devastating grenade that time. Vet 2, however, for the MG-34 doesn't want to lose that, so he will retreat that. He does not have the established retreat point unlock on his battle group headquarters, so he is being forced currently to retreat all the way back to his headquarters. And now that his Raketenwerfer has been cleared, or not cleared, but forced to retreat, the only thing deterring this T-34 advance right now is one Puma and one Panzerschreck. Puma's going to start taking heavy fire. Panzerschreck does connect, but he's being chased heavily. Stuka being moved all the way back to safety. Raketenwerfer also now in supporting range. T-34 continues laying fire on the Sturms in the house. Incendiary barrage coming in on the Volksgrenadiers, and HelpingHans is being forced to juggle so many different things right now, trying to avoid danger from so many different sources. Shock troops now in this house. Ooh, heavy fire on that MG. Clears it with a T-34 shot. Shock troops taking heavy damage, though, from focus fire from all of these infantry. Conscripts, in the meantime, capturing the entire map while all of this is going on.
Ready for duty. Achieved veterancy level.
And it is just pure chaos for HelpingHans right now, watching him try and juggle all of these different threats that Jesulin is throwing at him. Panzerschreck connects with the T-34, Vet 3 on the Volksgrenadiers. Heavy damage, though, only one man remaining. One stray T-34 shot away from losing one of his Panzerschrecks, which would be devastating to say the least. But the T-34s are going to back off. He doesn't want to be too super aggressive. And we actually see a second Puma coming out from Helping Hans. So he wants more AT in the form of his mechanized regiment headquarters. What it has to offer. He is not going to invest too much into Raketenwerfers. I think that they are indeed quite susceptible to T-34s. Pumas, on the other hand, have nice range, nice fire rate, nice penetration. More incendiary artillery coming in on these Volksgrenadiers, and they're gonna very dangerous situation for them. He needs them not to die, and they do make it out of the fire unharmed. That was lucky. If they had died, he would be in a nasty spot. If we take a look at Jesulin, we do see a third T-34, and I think it's actually been out for some time. While this one was getting repaired, I suppose. So that's 3 T-34s now, and if we take a look, he is 20 fuel away from another. I think based on his manpower, he will be getting a fourth. Either that or possibly some more infantry to fill out the ranks a little bit, as he's lost all of his Maxims and he's only got 2 conscript squads remaining out of his initial 4. Meanwhile, Helping Hans has lost very few full units. His unit preservation is great, but his territory throughout the entire game is suffering, and that's why he's now forced to contend with so many heavy tanks, because his opponent just holds the whole map. It's just all over the place. Stern Pioneers working on these shock troops, but when circling around to get better cover, they get flanked by the T-34, and one blast takes out 2 of them, putting the squad in mortal danger once again. But now that there's a second Puma on the field, he will be able to bully those T-34s a little bit. Or if not bully them, at least keep himself from being bullied. It's definitely very delicate to try to use Pumas against T-34s. The T-34 in general has the advantage, which is why Helping Hans is forced to keep his Volksgrenadiers with the Panzerschreck as close by as possible, try and keep that Raketenwerfer as relevant as possible. It is going to be Vet 1 soon. It's quite important that he vet that up, because unvetted Raketenwerfers are not great. Once they hit Vet 1 and 2, that's when they really start to actually be useful, as they get the range bonus, they get the damage bonus, that sort of thing. Of course, a vetted Puma is even better, and if we take a look at his Puma's veterancy, we do see Vet 1.5 on this one. This one's still quite fresh, but he's getting good shots in on the T-34s, and that's where the veterancy comes from, as well as the odd lucky snipe on infantry. Stuka firing, probably at these conscripts, if I had to guess. Yes. Oh, lucky rocket takes out the entire squad. That hurts. Jesulin now down to only 1 conscript squad remaining. All of his manpower invested into T-34s. 4th one hitting the field now. It's gonna be really difficult for Helping Hans to keep 4 full health T-34s at bay, 2 of them Vet 1 as well. He just keeps massing them. He's been so careful with them. He never loses a tank. Only 2 Pumas alive right now to contend with this, and I'm not sure if what Helping Hans has left is going to be enough. And his Pumas are actually getting separated away from the rest of his main force by this particular T-34 push. He does pop smoke. The auto turret rotation on the MG-34 definitely hurts Jesulin there. He's attacking ground, but he can't see the Pumas, and that was a perfect dodge by Helping Hans, actually. 1 T-34 down, 1 Puma very close to going down. This one remains on the flank. Second smoke pot goes out. T-34 still does have vision, though, and it's going to fire. Oh, it missed. Oh, second shot in the back, however, does connect. We now have 2 half-health T-34s against 1 Puma. This Puma has no chance, and it gets wiped out. 2 Pumas taken down, only 1 T-34 lost. So Helping Hans is definitely in a bad position now. His Panzerschreck couldn't get into position to support, as the T-34s sort of forced the Puma to take a really unfortunate route right there. Incendiary barrage also comes in, and it's quite ugly for Helping Hans. He was doing excellent on unit preservation, but now that he's lost 2 Pumas, that is a huge setback. That is a 140 fuel setback, and he's only got 20 coming in a minute, so that's 14 minutes, or 7 minutes, I guess, of fuel. And that's with fuel transfer activated, so that definitely hurts. As far as AT is concerned now, Helping Hans is looking at nothing but 1 Panzerschreck and 1 Raketenwerfer to contend with 3 T-34s, 97 fuel in the bank for Jesulin, so possibly another T-34 getting produced soon. And if not, then he may finally begin saving up for his IS-2. He does have 29 fuel coming in, so it's coming in quite rapidly. Once he has this captured, which will be soon, it's going to be even faster. Stuka barrage fires on the shock troops, but they dodge it without taking any damage. T-34 moves back. These two T-34s continue to get repaired. We do have 2 sets of combat engineers working on that, so they will be back up to full very soon. Also quite a bit of veterancy on these tanks. Shock troops continuing to scout and screen the central victory point. However, as Helping Hans pushes forward, it will not be enough to stop him. Again, Jesulin does not have much infantry. We do see a fresh conscript squad, which looks like it was produced purely for harassment / capping. And T-34 moves up to pressure the central victory point. Meanwhile, these conscripts are getting way too close to those Fallschirmjäger. I'm not sure if he was watching that or if... I think he was trying to throw a Molotov. I think I saw the animation, but he was a little too greedy with that. Spots the base with these conscripts, trying to land another incendiary artillery. The thing about this is it's very little micro cost to you to drop, but it's a huge amount of micro cost to your opponent to navigate all of his units out of the area. And that looks like what he's purely using it for, just to annoy Helping Hans, and also, of course, to deal this slow burn damage to the battle group headquarters. He can't really dedicate his Stern Pioneers to keeping it repaired when he's also using them for combat and capping and all kinds of other duties. T-34 is moving in the north. Lots of bleed and damage going out on these infantry over here, and it looks like we do see a third Puma getting produced, so he's really going all in as far as light vehicles go. And it looks like the KV-8 is finally hitting the field, inflicting heavy damage to these infantry. And it looks like he may lose his battle group headquarters if he's not able to push these tanks back. He does have Vet 2 on his Raketenwerfer. Heavy damage on that Panzerschreck. It is Vet 5. And it looks like Jesulin is satisfied with the damage dealt by that push, not getting too aggressive, playing it safe. He knows his opponent can't afford to just sit back here. Shock troops moving in on the South Victory Point 2, putting a stop to any harassment being done by those Schreck Volks. He will get that recaptured soon. And the clock just keeps on ticking for Helping Hans, and he's really delayed in making it into any big late game stuff by the fact that he lost those 2 Pumas. A lot of fuel invested into Pumas, really delaying any higher tech stuff. He has not purchased a Schwer Panzer headquarters. We do see the battle group headquarters, and I don't believe he's planning on producing any actual units out of here. He still hasn't got the retreat point unlocked either. I don't think he's planning to. No Jagd Panzer. He's not even close to having the fuel for a Jagd Panzer, and I doubt he's looking forward to investing 430 manpower into the infantry support gun either, so the only benefit he'll be getting out of that is the healing, and there's certainly nothing wrong with that. Wow, great damage going in on the KV-8 right there, but unfortunately the incendiary barrage will deter any... Actually, it didn't take much damage from that at all, and rather than retreating it, he is pushing with it. Pushing unusually aggressively, though. He definitely needs to get that out of there. They're taking heavy damage from those conscripts, and he doesn't want to lose the Vet 4 Raketenwerfer. What a waste. He didn't need to go so far forward. I'm not sure he was actually even doing that manually. I think it was automatically following the KV-8. Looks like the T-34s are going to charge against the Puma, taking some damage from the Raketenwerfer and Panzerschreck, but it's just not enough. This T-34 is vetted and is quite durable. Raketenwerfer actually blocks the path of this T-34, and the T-34 has just come to a stop. Meanwhile, Jesulin's infantry pushing up through the center. Puma continues laying fire on the T-34. This one could go down. It's in a nasty spot, but I think it can take one more Panzerschreck shot. Oh, and the Panzerschreck does not fire. It's forced to reposition by an explosion from this T-34 in the back. Puma's also not able to get a shot in. Shock troops fire a grenade, but they're suppressed by an MG-34 all the way in the back. Puma is going to mess around with the pathing, it looks like, of this. Also using attack ground. Attack ground on the T-34 fails. Excellent dodging by Helping Hans there. Ooh. More shots missed. Wow, he got that KV-8 repaired so quick with these combat engineers. Even in the middle of a giant battle, he is able to get those tanks repaired. It's moving in, trying to inflict damage. It looks like it may be switching into non-flamethrower mode. No, never mind. It just couldn't acquire a target through the smoke. And it is going to deal some damage to the battle group headquarters. KV-8s do excellent damage to the Oberkommando trucks. However, he's not able to get a full burst off as he's pushed away by a Panzerschreck and the harassment of the Puma. Puma already at vet 1.5, even though it's got no kills. It's just doing great damage against these enemy tanks, and it's vetting up quite quickly. If he can get that to vet 2 or vet 3, it'll start to become a real asset, but he just needs to constantly keep that thing babysat. He needs to constantly babysit it, because all it takes is one good push by Jesulin to completely wipe it out with his tanks. And it's actually scouting a little bit aggressively. It's going to run into a T-34. Ooh, takes nasty damage, has to get out of there. Jesulin actually looking to capitalize on that mistake. One more good shot, but this Volksgrenadier screen is going to be a bit too much. He's really getting aggressive with that Puma despite how damaged it is. But he will pull back for some hasty repairs. Volksgrenadier screening the middle. Does not want to lose control of that third victory point, because if he does, it's only a matter of seconds before he loses the game. But because of how much he has to dedicate to Jesulin's constant stream of units and artillery and tanks, it's very difficult for him to dedicate any other forces to any other portion of the map, which puts HelpingHans in sort of a vicious cycle kind of situation, because the more he dedicates to the center, the more Jesulin can dedicate to the center. Meaning that it's now just a vicious fight for the central victory point, even though HelpingHans really needs to control 2 victory points at this point. He's running out of time. And he does know that, and he is sending some units up to the north, and we will see if Jesulin makes a move to respond. We see a fresh T-34 on the field. Existing T-34 is getting repaired. KV-8 will also be getting repaired. This is a huge tank army for HelpingHans to contend with, and he knows that he's going to need more anti-tank firepower. We see a third Raketenwerfer hitting the field. We now have Panzerschrecks on all 3 Volksgrenadiers. Almost no anti-infantry remains in HelpingHans' army except for 2 machine guns. I think his Sturm Pioneers are dead. I think some T-34s got him or something, so he actually has no way to repair his battle group headquarters, which is dangerously close to falling, and once it does, he'll have no way to reinforce in the field up here, and that will really hurt his ability to hold on to these points. A small force of tanks moving in the north, the other 3 still continuing to get repaired. Jesulin seems to think that he can probably inflict some damage and bleed up here without bringing in the full, his full force, and he would be correct. Already forcing 1 squad retreat. Some good damage on the Puma, but the Puma is vet 2 now that it's managed to get a few more shots off. Vet 2 will give him accuracy and rate of fire, and both of those are, of course, extremely important. He also, of course, now that his vet 1 has access to aimed shot, we'll see if he takes advantage of that. Up against massed tanks, it is not as useful. So I doubt he will actually be using that, because it forces your Puma to hold still, which he absolutely cannot afford to do. Stuka firing on these conscripts. Meanwhile, a force of tanks is moving on these Volksgrenadiers in the south, and they'll need to react and get out of there as quickly as possible. Stuka barrage kills 3 conscripts, not really harming anything else. Volksgrenadiers are reacting and getting out of there. I'm not sure if they'll make it out, though. Only 2 of them remain. Meanwhile, these 2 tanks chasing up in the north, they do get a successful flank on this Raketenwerfer, as well as incendiary landing perfectly on the one that's into support, so both Raketenwerfers will get pushed away. Stuka left in a very vulnerable position, but the T-34s are more concerned about the MG because, in all likelihood, some sort of infantry will be moving up to the center. Meanwhile, the tank force in the south is moving up to push. The 1 Puma is vet 2, but it's really struggling to do anything about this massive tank army. These 2 have already moved back to get repaired, and they'll probably be fine by the time these fully retreat. HelpingHans continuing to try to juggle this, but it's just so much to try and deal with his limited resources at this time. Puma continuing to fire, continuing to rack up vet. It will be vet 3 with its next successful shot that penetrates. There it is, vet 3 on the Puma. Volksgrenadiers moving up, getting some good shots. Puma actually did use his aim shot on that KV-8. He would have maybe been able to finish it off if that T-34 hadn't screened for it, but the T-34 does go down. Max range shot from the Puma, bringing it up to that 4, which is now going to make it absolutely just a wrecking ball. Huge range, look at that. Stuka moving up, will be able to barrage soon. And with that tank down and these two still wounded, KV-8 also heavily damaged. If that gets too close to the Puma, it will die for sure. He's bringing that in way too close. Not sure what he's thinking there. And the KV-8 is dead. And the incendiary barrage goes out. Only one man on this Volksgrenadier squad, but there's only 11 points left. He has no choice but to at least attempt to decap this point. Moves into the smoke. Oh no, he lost the Vet 4 Puma. That is bad. Definitely couldn't afford for that to happen. He really needed to keep that alive, but I guess in the end it just didn't matter. He couldn't keep this capped. He was juggling just too much all at once. So many threats from Jesulin, just constantly hammering him right here. He never really got a chance to catch his breath from beginning to end. What an intense game. Very fun to watch. Well played by both players for sure. And I hope you enjoyed watching. I think that'll wrap up the game. And that's it.